Well, I didn't have the opportunity to read too many books this year, but I did find time to actually go through a manga. It's this one. It's Goodbye Eri by Tatsuki Fujimoto. For those of you who are like into anime or manga, you probably know this author from his other work, and frankly, his most popular one, Chainsaw Man. And when I saw this book, I really liked the cover. I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but well, why not? So yeah, this is the one manga that I managed to complete this year.
So, even though I haven't really read a lot of contemporary books in the past year, one book that I came across was Hippie by Paulo Coelho. So, in the book, the author self-inserts himself as a main character who is traveling with his new love interest through 1970s South America and Europe. So the book heavily focuses on the hippie lifestyle, which was apparently quite prominent back then in the 1970s. Even though I'm not really a big fan of the lifestyle, I do like how the book shows a sort of emphasis on freedom and love. Like the main character, he's going through a journey that he's unsure of what the end will be, but he knows that throughout the many adventures and troubles that he goes through, he knows that he will find the meaning of life if there is one.
Okay, so I managed to read 2 books this year, which I know isn't a lot, but the 2 books that I read were The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy and Shalimar the Clown by Salman Rushdie.
A book I really enjoyed reading would have to be Colonial Terror by Diana Heath. It really put into perspective how normalized violence was as part of the colonial mission itself, and how violence became so commonplace that it wasn't even considered to be acts of violence. It sounds simple, but within that discourse that Heath was staging, it was a really important intervention into how the colonial regime was a violent enterprise in more ways than one. This is probably a biased answer, but I think the things I most enjoyed reading are the stuff that were sent to us by our readers and contributors and authors who write for the Daily Star Books and Literature. There were some magical creative nonfiction pieces, which is a genre I love. There were also incredibly poignant and moving reviews and reflections that were written by our writers and contributors, and I thoroughly enjoyed reading that.
Yes, I've been reading mostly online, subreddits, random forums, whichever piques my interest. Pore bhal lage. It also kind of helped me, adapt a new style of writing. It kind of helps me write much more freely with a free flow, which kind of helps me relate with the readers much more. Yeah, definitely.
So I think like shifting to satire, it's not an entirely like a complete shift, but it is a genre that I hadn't explored before. So in that way, it is a shift in reading habits of sorts, reading tastes of sorts. I enjoyed reading satire a lot more than I thought I would.
So এই বছর আমি genre wise different কিছু পড়ি নাই, কিন্তু for once I thought I'd give Bangla books a try because আমার কাজের জন্য আর পড়াশোনার জন্য আমার বেশিরভাগ ইংলিশ বই পড়া হয়। তো এই বছর আমি দেখলাম যে হুমায়ুন আহমেদের একটা শর্ট স্টোরি কালেকশন, হরর স্টোরি, it was beautifully illustrated. The cover made me want to buy it, and when I read it, it was one of the best horror short fictions that I've ever read. আমি 3 দিনে 3 বার বইটা পড়ে ফেলেছি।
Next year, I think what I want to read or what I want to explore is more South Asian authors, for sure. I think I'm low on reading South Asian authors. More South Asian authors, more Japanese and Korean authors, and more Palestinian authors, hopefully. So that's what I'm hoping to read next year.
From all of us at Daily Star Books and Literature, wishing you a happy year ahead. This has been a particularly rough year in terms of the violence and the atrocities that went on around the world. And that really changed me as a reader and also as an editor, because I was concerned about the content that we were putting out there. And I wondered, especially when we were designing the children's literature issue, what kind of stories that we are still able to tell our children, especially in a world when children are being so violently snatched away from their loved ones every day in horrible numbers, and yet the rest of the world goes on.